سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين الذين أنعمت عليهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وأهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين المظلومين المنتجبين المنتخبين الذين أذهب اللهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على وصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنباء العظيم، أبا الحسنين مولى القونين إمام الثقلين يأسوب الدين سيد المتقين رأس المحسنين سلطان الأولياء قاتل المشركين أول المسلمين أسد الله الغالب غالب كل غالب مظهر العجائب علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك، خصوصا صنمي قريش. الحمد لله الذي لا يحتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب آمله. أما بعد، فقال إمام حسن صلوات الله وسلامه عليه: O people, he who advises for God's sakes and betakes his sayings as guidance will surely be led to the most upright way, and God will grant him success to the right guidance and will direct him to the best path. The disciple of your Lord is certainly secured and preserved, while his enemy is surely fearful and disappointed. Be cautious of God and mention him frequently. Fear Allah and approach him through obedience, for he is surely close to you. Allah says, if any of my servants ask you in regards to me, tell them that the Lord says, I am near. I accept the prayers of those who pray. Let my servants answer my call and believe in me, so that perhaps they may know the right path. Answer God and believe in him, because it is improper for anyone who acknowledges God's greatness to behave arrogantly. The sublimity of those who acknowledge God's greatness is certainly their modesty. The dignity of those who acknowledge God's majesty in their submission, and the safety of those who acknowledge God's power is to accept what was written for him. He must avoid denying Allah after acknowledgement, and he must avoid deviating after guidance. You should know convectively that you will not recognize those who are God-fearing before you realize the character of guidance. You will not hold on to the bond of the book before you know those who deserted it, and you will not recite the book as it should be before you know those who distorted it. After you know all of these, you will know heresies and the deviators and the ones who exaggerate. You will see forgery against God and distortion, and will know how the declining ones fell. Let not the ignorant engage you in their ignorance. Seek knowledge from those who are the proper people, for they are surely the light by which entitlement is sought, and the leaders whose example should be followed. By them knowledge survives and ignorance fades. They neither oppose the right nor do they disagree about it. Different traditions existed before them, and God's decision passed before them. This is surely a reminder for those who ponder. When you hear it, you should understand it heedfully, not just for relation. The relators are certainly numerous, while the heedful are few. God is the one whose help it is that we seek. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When you look at the majlises that we give, whether it is within the Urdu language, or indeed the Arabic language, or the Farsi language, and indeed within the English language, our primary focus is on many of the Imams. But how many of us actually focus on our second Imam? That from our pulpits, it is mentioned that the Imam was the one who done a peace treaty. Neither does anyone clarify why he done his peace treaty, and indeed how he lived his life, and who were the companions that aided him when Muawiyah was on his doorstep. That indeed what happened after Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah salamu alayhi was struck upon his head. You find that I quoted a narration to you from the book Tahaful Aqul, the masterpiece of the intellects, would be the English translation. You can find the book online. And you find that these were many of the speeches that he gave within that 10-month period from the death of his father to the point when Muawiyah took power. And there was many a narration that was given, and there was many a speech given. But unfortunately, neither have we delved into his life, neither have we understood his position, and rather you find that there is more material about his life from those who are against him than those who are for him. And indeed, when we look at his life and the many beautiful things within it, unfortunately, that is not something that's been discussed from our pulpits. And truly, it is something sorrowful that from our pulpits we're too busy discussing many things such as philosophy and giving examples of undue nonsense, whereas we haven't looked into our own history books, we haven't looked at our own ahadith, and we have not looked into the lives of the holy Ahl al-Bayt salawatullah salamu alayhim. And you find that this Imam is the father of who? Of the person who you'll cry over tonight. He is the father of Qasim. And that's why I believe it is prominent to speak about his father tonight, because his father, even when he has a majlis, no one turns up for his father. Everyone turns up for Abu Abdullah. Everyone turns up for the first Imam. But who turns up for the second, or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth, or the seventh, or the eighth, or the ninth, and indeed the 10th? Now you find there's always within our mosques, within certain periods, we'll have packed mosques. But you find that in these nights, we should also be discussing those other imams that do not get that much attention from our Shia. And therefore, I believe it is prominent that we speak about him tonight. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, that both of these are imams, whether they are sitting or they are standing. And indeed, they are the chiefs of the masters of the youth of paradise. They are the masters of the youth of paradise. And if we say that they have such a prominent position, then you find that within our works, there's many a narration that I just quoted to you, that the imam gives you nasiyah. He tells you how to live your life, that you should stay away from those who deviate, that you should stay towards the Quran and recognize who are the people who will guide you from this Quran. For if you do not, then you will become misguided. And throughout his life, you'll find that many an instance they showed the position of this holy Imam. Now within the Quran in chapter 3 verse 61, he is referred to as the son of Rasulullah. And Amir al-Mu'mineen is referred to as the nafs of Rasulullah. And you find that in the Quran, what does it say? It says that you have to bring your women. You have to bring your sons in the plural. That you have to bring your nafs. And you find when you look at this, and when for example you look at this and you look and you say that Rasulullah was supposed to bring his women, why did he only bring one woman? The greatest of the women. But why only one? Rasulullah, you had so many wives at the time, so many great wives, so many esteemed wives, in particular two that are mentioned in Surah 66. You can look at the tafsir of Ahl al-Sunnah for that one. So you'll find that there are many wives. Why did you only take this individual? It's because he realized her position. That is why when she used to walk into the room, have you ever heard of a father standing for his daughter? Wallah, even daughters don't stand for their fathers nowadays. Neither do the sons. But you find that Rasulullah was the one who stood for his daughter. Look at the position of this lady. That's why we call her the Lady of Light. That's why we call her Sadiqa. And you find that when you look at her life, she can only bore those individuals who will also be light from amongst her. And we come for his majlis, which is the one light, and the other light is the one I want to talk about today. And you find that Rasulullah took them. And why did he take them particularly? He took them towards the Christians and said to the Christians that when the knowledge has come to you, and you recognize our position from your own books, then when you know that you are lying, may Allah curse the liars. La'natullah alal kadhibin. Some people say, don't say la'na. Allah says la'na. What are you talking about? Some people say, don't say la'na. Allah says la'na. Allah says la'na. And I'll show you today that what happened between Muawiyah and Imam, you'll find there are particular Shia that send la'na on particular people that are revered in other schools. And I'm going to mention their names. Because it is too long that we have fallen asleep. That whilst everyone is doing takfir on us, killing us, we stay quiet. We don't mention anything. Don't say nothing. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Let everyone trample over you, kill you. It's okay. It's fine. But you find that when you look into their life, they have an esteemed position, not only to God, but obviously to Rasul as well. Now, one of the questions that we get asked is this. That how is it in such a situation that only about 50 years after the Prophet, roughly, give or take, that we've come to a situation where they're killing the masters of the youth of paradise? How did we get to this position? Because in order for me to tell you about his life and what happened during those 10 months, I need you to understand something critical. And what the criticality of this is very simple. That when things happened at the beginning, and they done rad, and they stole the titles of particular people, and they said that these people are Siddiq and these people are liars, you find that once you open the floodgates, then the floodgates will stay open. Say, what do you mean? I'll explain to you through the letter of Muawiyah. You find Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, radiyallahu an. What did they say? Shias don't say it. I just said it. Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, radiyallahu an, may Allah be pleased with him. He wrote a letter to Muawiyah. And in this letter, what did he write? He said, it's because of people like you who are ruining the religion. Don't fight him. Stop being of the jahl. You know his position. Because Muawiyah was not a stupid guy. He knew his position. He knew exactly who he's fighting. That you find there are works that say that Muawiyah says this. He says that I can never beat Ali. So therefore I will be in opposition to Ali so that people will remember me. Now think about it. That although we sent Lan on the guy, on a political level, he knew what he was doing. And that's why people will say, oh, Muhammad, why are you praising certain personalities? I'll say, well, because you look at the 4th Imam, when they asked him about Yazid, he said, yeah, he's a good poet. He could have said anything about him. He said, yeah, he's a good poet. So you find that, what did Muawiyah say in reply to his letter? He said, it is because of your father and the ones who followed in their footsteps that people like me have this position. Now, who put Muawiyah in power? The second Khalifa put Muawiyah in power. And in doing so, you find that what happened in Syria, and now we have come to the conclusion that he fought in Siffin. Against who? He fought in Siffin. And then they fought in Jamal as well. So they fought in Jamal, then they fought in Siffin, and obviously had other battles as well, like Nahrawan. And you find that even though they were about to win, what happened? That people began to doubt the first Imam. And when they had this doubt, they had forgotten why. Say Muhammad, people always ask you this question, that why did they forget? Brother, it's been 25 years that the Imam had been silent. 25 years, not a little bit of time. That you remember, see, what people don't realize is called the progression of society. That at the time, when the first Khalifa came to power, you find that the Muslims were only few in the Arabian Peninsula area. By the time the first Imam, you find it stretched all the way to Persia. The land had become much wider. And therefore you find what happened. That people had forgotten their positions. And in doing so, you find that they killed the first Imam. And when they did, you find that the first Imam gave the Khilafah to who? To his eldest son. And when he did this, you find that Muawiyah knew that this was going to happen. So what did he do? He went with 60,000. 60,000. He went with 60,000 to attack Kufa. Now when he went towards the Imam, you find that the Imam looked towards his left and looked towards his right. He asked the people to come join him. And how many came at Nukhayla? 20,000. 20,000 came to Nukhayla. Then the army dispersed into two places. One was Mudain, and one was another place outside the city of Kufa. And you find that he sent one of the battalion, led by who? Abdullah ibn Abbas. 12,000 men he took with him. Who's Abdullah ibn Abbas? I don't need to explain to you who he is. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he took 12,000. With who? Qais ibn Sa'd, Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Hujr bin Adi, Maytham al-Tamar. A few of the companions went with him, of the real companions. And when they went with him, 12,000, what happened? 4,000 went to the other place with the Imam. And then 4,000 joined him later. So now you have two sides of the army. You have 8,000 on one side and 12,000 on the other side. Why 12,000? Why 8,000? 12,000 were sent to intercept Muawiyah. 12,000 was sent to intercept Muawiyah. Let's go back in history. Why did what happened in Siffin happen? Did Muawiyah, was he the strongest in the army? No, he wasn't. What did he do to Amir al-Mu'mineen's army? He created doubt and dissension. What did he do to Imam Hassan's army? He created doubt and dissension. In particular who? In particular who? Abdullah ibn Abbas took 12,000. Did he fight Muawiyah even once? No, he didn't. Muawiyah turned around and said, listen, Abdullah, I'll give you 100,000 dinar. I'll give you 100,000 dinar. Wallah, I swear some of us never seen 100,000 in our life. 100,000 dinar I'll give you. Leave from here. What did he do? He took the 100,000, took 8,000 of Imam Hassan's soldiers and Firar. They asked me about Banu Abbas. We'll leave it there. He took 8,000 soldiers and left. Qais bin Sa'ad, what did he do? How many people left now? 4,000. MashaAllah, see everyone's on GCSEs here. You find that 4,000 are left now. The Imam, 8,000 are there, 4,000 are here. 4,000, what does Qais ibn Sa'ad do? He gets up in the area, he makes like a member and he says, La'na on him, he's a traitor. They won't tell you this. La'na on him, he's a traitor, deceiver, leaver. When this happened, this made the Imam cry. Why? Who's Abdullah ibn Abbas? Made the Imam cry. So what did Muawiyah do now? Muawiyah turned towards his army and said, now we need to attack his army. So they did. How? Arrows? Swords? Nah, they can't fight. You find they use dissension tactics again. What did they do? They said, Qais ibn Sa'ad has died. You didn't have WhatsApp, you know. Takes a couple of hours, maybe a day, to get the letter there. He's dead. So what does the army of Imam Hassan do? The 8,000 that are left. Are they Shia? Of course they're not Shia. Why are they going to be Shia? Amir al-Mu'mineen after Ghadir Khum, how many people did have with him? 4? 4? That was in the time of the Prophet. We're talking 30 years later now. You know what they did? They attacked the tent of Imam. To the extent the Imam turns and says that they took everything and I had to defend myself with the sword. I took everything, I had to defend myself with the sword. So then he went towards another place where his governor was. And on the way, you find he got attacked again. And this time the attack was successful. What happened? The Imam took a dagger to his thigh, and the narrators narrate that it went so deep that it almost touched the bone of the Imam. Now what don't they tell you? Wallah, it brings sukoon to the heart when you hear this part. He grabbed the killer by the beard, twisted his head, broke his neck. Say, Muhammad, do Shia say this? No, bro, Sunni. Read the books. They won't tell you this. You know, they're too busy talking about falsafa. So you find that what happened? Grabbed his beard, twisted his neck, broken down. Finished. Game over. And you find that this Qais bin Sa'ad with 4,000 men. 4,000 men. Imagine this. 4,000 men, 60,000 on the other side, 4,000. Hujr bin Adi, Maytham at-Tammar. Wallah, there's a reason why Amir al-Mu'mineen said the Shia are the ones. That doesn't matter, thousands in front of them. We'll finish everyone, no problem. And you find that with 4,000, he fended 60,000. But when he heard of the news that the Imam had been attacked, then he stopped fighting and went towards the Imam. Obviously. So then what happened? At this point, the Imam realized that the people were against him. Because he said that this is what they done to his father in Siffin. So what did the Imam say? Because I don't want, like I said to you, I'm not here to give you opinions. So I'm here to tell you what the Imam had said. And this is what the Imam had said, that once all of this occurred and he recovered from his injury, all of the generals came in front of him and the people that were left, this is what he said to them. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. By God, neither had we any doubt about fighting the Syrians, nor did we have any remorse, because it was we who had fought the Syrians with confidence and humility. But enmity took the place of confidence, and uncertainty replaced patience. Earlier, when you were marching towards Siffin, your religion was dominated and your worldly feelings were less. But today, the worldly benefits are uppermost in your minds over and above the religion. Beware that you have become divided between two types of slain groups. Those who were killed in Siffin and you still mourn over them, and those who were killed in Nahrawan, who you still attack me today, whose revenge you still want to take. The others have run away from war. However, the mourners of those killed intend to fight on. Beware, Muawiyah la'natullah alayhi has made us such an offer which neither is there respect and nor is there based in justice. So if you decide to fight till death, then we will again attack Muawiyah and force him to submit with the might of our sword, to turn to the right path as commanded by Allah. But if you choose the worldly life, then we will accept this offer and get protection for you. Well, I've heard so many times in so many majlis, people saying, he done peace treaty. Where in history does it say he done peace treaty? Then what do our scholars say and the scholars of Ahl Sunnah? What do they say? They say, oh, he done this peace treaty because he wanted to keep the peace. Wallah, he was forced into the peace treaty. History is clear on the issue. Then some scholars narrate within Ahl Sunnah, what do they say? The peace treaty was bay'ah to Muawiyah. So let me ask you a question. The treaty of Hudaybiyah between Abu Sufyan and the Prophet of God, was that bay'ah to Abu Sufyan? Now what is the difference? There is no difference. Abu Sufyan, Rasulullah, Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan, Hassan bin Muhammad, for example. Why? The Quran says he's my son. In Siffin, for example, what happened? You find one of the sons of Imam Ali, not Hazrat Abbas, one of the other sons. He went and said, Imam said, go get me victory. He failed and came back. Imam Hassan went. He was victorious and came back. Imam looked towards his son. He said, that is the son of Muhammad. Do not worry. Do not be jealous of your brother. He's the son of Fatima. That this is the Imam. This is the individual that we are speaking about. And this is that same Imam who bore Qasim, who we'll speak about in a few moments. But you find that the Imam not only was a great general, not only was a great leader, not only was he a great, for example, religious person, nor was he great in, for example, his fiqh and his akhlaq. And what an akhlaq he had. That you find that when Muawiyah had taken power and, for example, the peace treaty was agreed that you will follow the Quran and the Sunnah, which he did not. That you will, for example, stop the cursing of the first Imam from the pulpits, which he did not. And you find the other sorts of things that he mentioned within this treaty, such as that you will not attack, for example, Qais bin Sa'ad, Hujr bin Adi, Maytham al-Thammar, and all of these other companions. You will not attack them. You will protect the lives of those who are in Kufa. You will not instigate, indirectly or directly, any killing of Ali Muhammad, which he did. Why did he do the treaty? Why? Say, Imam, why didn't you just go, get killed? then maybe that would have been better for you. Na'udhu billah min dhalik. Who are we to tell the Imam what to do? We're not exactly, Abdullah ibn Abbas advising Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. You find that the Imam done this for one and one particular reason. To show you that who is on haqq and who is on batil. That if I tell you that the treaty condition is this, this and this, and he breaks every single condition, then how can history look at him with a positive eye? How can you say radiyallahu an here, radiyallahu an here, radiyallahu an everywhere? How can you say this? How does that make sense? That if, for example, the killer and the killed, and the one who abstains from the killing, the one who doesn't have a position, if they're all going to, for example, heaven, what is this going to be? He's going to say, you kill me, I kill you. What is this, some sort of Royal Rumble match? And you find that this is what the position is. That how can you say that there's no difference between haqq and there's no difference between batil? How can you say this? Now what do they say? They say that if you want to look at the truth, then you have to look at the truth first and then judge the personality. The Amir al-Mu'mineen said that do not look at the personality, then the truth. Look at the truth, then judge the personality. And that is the issue. That when you're saying radiyallahu an here, radiyallahu an there, you are looking at the personality. If we say that we're giving high positions to fulan, 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 well, I can tell you, Hazrat Yusuf's brothers, whose sons were they? It's the Prophet's sons. What did they do to Yusuf? The good deeds towards him. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala release a surah called Munafiqun? Was it for us? Or was it for them? Now you find that this is when you're looking at history, this is what you have to see. You have to open your eyes. You have to look at the truth. And not just for then, but today as well. That you look at the truth, then you judge the personality. That if, for example, I come here today and I spill God knows what, and you say, oh, it doesn't matter what he says, because he's sitting there and we're sitting on the ground. That was the issue, isn't it? That was the issue. That the people did not rise up to help the first Imam, the second Imam, even the third Imam. Who came to help him? 30,000 on one side, 72 on the other. What sort of help is this? Because you realize that when you come onto the path of truth, there are not many people with you. And the path of truth is evident. Because you find that when the Syrian came towards the Imam and he asked him some questions, what did he ask him? Now I want to leave this with you about the knowledge of your Imam. Because people don't tell you. People don't tell you about your Imam. Now a Syrian came and asked him and said, what are the 10 things, one of which is stronger than the preceding one? Let me say the question again. What are the 10 things, one of which is stronger than the preceding one? So the Imam says this. The 10 things, one of which is stronger than the other, are as follows. The strongest creation of God was the stone. Iron is stronger than stone. Fire is stronger than iron. Water is stronger than fire. Clouds are stronger than water. Wind is stronger than clouds. The angels are stronger than the winds. The angel of death is stronger than the other angels. And death is stronger than the angel of death. And God is the strongest of them all. That this is your Imam. That when he is asked a question, then he has in his chest what was given to him by Amir al-Mu'mineen, which was given to him by Rasulullah, which was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why even within the Sunni world, they call it the golden chain. The golden chain. And you find that this Imam, what atrocities happened towards him. What zulm happened towards this Imam. And you find that when he was given poison, he came upon his deathbed. And when he came upon his deathbed, this poison was so strong, according to the people who write the history, that they say that when the person who made the poison showed the poison to Muawiyah, and Muawiyah tried to open the bottle, you know what he said? He said, don't open the bottle. Don't open the bottle. Because if you inhale it, you could die. If it touches your skin, it'll go straight through. This poison was given to your Imam. And when this poison was given to your Imam, they say his liver began to come from his mouth. And the Imam, upon his deathbed, as he's puking out his liver because of the poison, he covers the bucket with a cloth. And he says, I do not want my sister Zainab to see. And you find his wife Farwa, or some say Ramla. We'll go with Ramla tonight. It's just different names, laqab. You find that Ramla, his wife, saw Qasim. You know where I'm going with this. He saw Qasim go onto the chest of the Imam, and Ramla looks at him and says, Qasim, leave the chest of your father. Imam Hassan says, Ramla, leave him alone. For when he touches my chest, it is as if I'm being cured. I would say, oh Imam, were you remembering Abu Abdullah on that day on your deathbed? And you find that there was no other nishani of the Imam. This Qasim was one of the lanterns of his life. And eventually you find on the 10th of Muharram that when we came towards Karbala, that night, every night on the 9th, we cry and we say that Qasim went towards his mother and his mother was kissing him and say, getting ready. Get ready, my son, for tomorrow you will give your life. Tomorrow you will give your life. You will give your life for your uncle. And you find that Qasim began to cry. So Ramla said, Qasim, why do you cry? Why do you cry? Qasim says that my uncle will not allow me permission to go fight. That he was crying on the ground, went to sujood, he began to cry and says, my uncle will not let me go. And Ramla said, oh Qasim, there is something that's attached to your arm. And within there's some writing from your father. That your father said on his deathbed that when a time comes and he is crying, then tell him to look on that piece of paper. He opens the piece of paper. You know what it says on the piece of paper? He says, Qasim, oh my son, be prepared. For when a time comes when your uncle is Itshan, when he is Wahid, when he is Gharib, when he is Mazloom, be prepared to give your life for him. And you find that when Abu Abdullah saw this, he began to cry and said, Qasim, Qasim, it is time for you to leave me. So they tried to put some armory on him. They tried to put some armor on him. Why? Maybe it was to protect him from the hooves of the horses. Maybe it was to protect him from the hooves of those horses. But none of the armor would fit him. So he went towards the battlefield. Now, when he went towards the battlefield, you find one of the army's henchmen, one of the great warriors of that side, Umar ibn Sa'ad said to him, go, fight him one-on-one. He sent one of his sons, and then two of his sons, and then three, and then four, and then five. And Hazrat Qasim killed each and every one of them. At this point, he said, you've killed all my sons, I'm going to come and fight you. Abu Abdullah raised his hands. He said, Ya Allah, this Qasim, he is thirsty, allow him to be successful. So you find that he kills him as well. And then the army comes towards Qasim. When the army comes towards Qasim, they attack him from the left and they attack him from the right. And one of them hits Qasim in the back of his head with a mace. And another one strikes him on his head. And he calls out, Ya Abu Abdullah, my uncle, come and save me. And you find both of his uncles come out. Hazrat Abbas comes from one side and Abu Abdullah comes from the other side. And the army begins to get scared. They see two of them coming. One of the army goes left, and one of the army goes right, and one of the army goes backwards, and some of them come forwards. Hazrat Abbas and Abu Abdullah call out, Oh Qasim, where are you? Oh Qasim. They say, Aina ya Qasim, ya bunayya Qasim, aina anta. They call out to him and say, Where are you, Oh Qasim? There's no reply from Qasim. And Abu Abdullah gets to the body of Qasim and begins to cry. And he says, How can it be that Qasim, you call me? And when you call me, I cannot arrive. And when I have arrived, it is too late. They say Abu Abdullah begins to open his abba. When he opens his abba, they say Abul Fadl Abbas begins to pick up the pieces. He begins to pick up the pieces. And when they take the body back, they say it is carried like a sack on his back. And when it's carried like a sack, I would say, Oh Qasim, at least someone was there to take your body back. On the 10th of Muharram, there was no one there to take the body of Abu Abdullah. I would turn to Imam al-Hassan and say, Oh Imam al-Hassan, on your janazah they released arrows on your body. Come towards the 10th of Muharram. The body of Abu Abdullah is elevated on arrows on the ground, and the hooves of the horses have penetrated his body. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. رضا بقضائه وتسليما لأمره. أعظم الله أجورنا وجور